As Heroes Day approaches, we honor those who sacrificed for our nations and communities. Now, it's also a time to reflect on how faith has inspired everyday people to show extraordinary courage on battlefields, in churches, and through unique acts of services. To discuss more on this, we are joined in studio by Reverend Timotheus Mutambo. Reverend, very good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for making time to talk to us. Heroes Day is often focused on national and military heroes, but from your perspective as a reverend, what deeper meaning does this day hold, especially when it comes to the spiritual context?
Yes, thank you very much, and good morning, all Namibians. Heroes Day is a celebration of the divine spark of those who chose to rise above fear, to serve with love, and to withstand the test of time. Now, also in the biblical times, we had people who persevered all storms and through difficulty. And when we come to Heroes Day, we are celebrating those people who, as Dr. Nuyoma titled his book, May His Soul Rest in Peace, where others wavered, stood for a cause that they believe in and not giving up. So that's the context that I want to bring to Heroes Day, and that in the midst of what we are going through, that we stand for what we believe in, and believing that God will lead us to the promised land.
Yeah. Reverend, I think you'll agree with me when I say the Bible is full of individuals who have displayed, courage and just so much faith. But can you perhaps share one of your favorite stories from the Bible, or perhaps a figure who you consider a true hero?
Yeah. Abraham is called the hero of faith, and God called him to go to some unknown land that God will show him. And without hesitation, he stood up and he went believing in God. The second one I can tell you is about Moses, who had the task of leading his people out of bondage, out of Egypt. And he believed that God will take them to the land of milk and honey. And he had experiences in the wilderness. Quite, I can relate this to some of our leaders who went into exile to foreign lands to fight for the liberation of this country. So those are two figures that stand out as heroes of faith in the Bible.
Yeah.
Moses and Abraham.
All right. Moses and Abraham. Yeah. What can we learn from what they've gone through when it comes to how we live nowadays?
Yeah, we can learn that if you trust God, we can learn that if you believe that God is leading you somewhere, that you can have faith that God will take you through it. They've weathered storms, and we can weather storms now, but those are temporary, but God will take you to where you need to be. So faith and obedience to God.
In today's world, heroism doesn't always look like grand gestures. How can everyday believers live out heroic faith in their families, in their workplaces, and also just in their communities?
Heroism is not always to be seen to be doing great things.
Yeah. Not all heroes.
Not all heroes, but there are these small things that we can do in our community. Love for our neighbor, care for our neighbor, and just doing small things in places where you work, trying to make a difference. Those are also heroic deeds. Not necessarily to be seen as if I'm doing something, but small things. The unseen heroes. There's a word that they use. The unsung heroes are also heroes, and God sees what you are doing.
Yeah. I think I'm glad that you mentioned Where Others Wavered earlier on, because there is a movie on it, and when I watched the movie, the church also played a role when it comes to the liberation struggle, because some people used to go through the church, the pastors would help them. That is also, a way of fighting, for Namibia's freedom. But throughout history, how do you see the connection between spiritual leadership and also just the civic responsibility on its own?
Yeah, thank you. These two are intertwined. The church must nurture that spirituality within an individual. And the church, and as you rightly put it, the church played a very pertinent role in the liberation struggle of our country. And the church must become the voice of the voiceless. And when the church nurtures these people, the spiritual awakening within individuals, these are the people that will go and serve us in the civic institutions, in the political sphere of our country, because they've now learn in the church about love, about care, and what it means to be the voice of the voiceless. So the Heroes Day should not just be a civic event, but it can become a holy moment. The church is a moral and spiritual guide of the community, and the church must take up that role.
Yeah. How can the church actually take up that role? What are some of the responsibilities that the church can perhaps just take on when it comes to contributing, to Heroes Day, perhaps with prayers, outreach, or just remembrance also, just while staying true to the spirit?
Yeah, the church must reach out to the unreached. In our church, we say we must clothe the naked. We must feed those who are hungry. And we must shelter those who are homeless. And that is the way in which the church can also contribute and to complement the efforts of our political leaders.
All right. Now, for young people who are growing up today, the idea of being a hero can often feel out of reach. What words of encouragement do you have for them this morning when it comes to becoming a hero, in this digital era?
Yeah. Young people must stand up, make their voices heard. Apostle Paul chose the young Timothy to be a leader, to be a spiritual leader. And he told him, I think there are people who were trying to undermine Timothy because of his age. And Apostle Paul wrote to him and said, let not people undermine you because of your young age, but through your words, through your faith, and through your behavior, you must show. So that's what young people must do. They must, through their behavior, let us not behave in ways that people will despise our age and our youthfulness. But they must start putting an example and showing and living by example already at this young age. Jeremiah, when he was called, as the prophet Jeremiah was saying he was too young, but God told him, don't say that, I'm too young. You must go to where I send you. So God can choose and use young people. God uses those who are willing to be used already at a young age, not necessarily those that are ready. And he will prepare you to lead the people. Young Joshua was chosen. You would hear people talking about the Joshua generation, the young people, to lead the people over to the promised land, the Israelites over to the promised land. So young people are, if they are willing, can be used by God already. So they must just stand up and they must behave accordingly as people who are leaders.
All right. Well, Reverend, thank you so much for making time to talk to us this morning.
You are most welcome. Thank you very much.